I refused to engage in my girlfriend's rope fantasy, so she hired someone to rope her and is now traumatized by the experience. Her friends are now trying to convince me to stay with her. I met my girlfriend 7 months ago and instantly knew she was mentally ill, which worked perfectly for me as I had always liked the mentally unstable girls. Seriously, my first ex had schizophrenia and my second ex had BPD and anger issues and swung a knife at me once. Anyway, the first ever date I went on with my current girlfriend was blissful. She told me she had no dad and talked about her home life in a very open manner, letting me know she was an open book. The more she talked about her childhood trauma and lack of a father figure, the more green flags I saw. I ended up asking her to be my girlfriend on the 4th date and she said yes, and so we started dating. Well, 2 months into the relationship I witnessed just how crazy she was as she started tracking the mileage on my car to ensure I wasn't cheating on her. At the time, I took this as a sign of someone who actually cares about me being loyal. I knew that this was a sign of her being crazy, but that was hot to me. Well, around 4 months into the relationship she opened up to me about some of her intimate fantasies. This girl was an absolute animal. We did knife play, hot wax, masochism and sadism, and it always seemed like she wanted me to inflict pain on her during the deed. This was hot to me, and she seemed to really enjoy it too, as according to her the childhood trauma has made her enjoy these things. However, our intimacy life took a drastic turnaround a month ago when she came to me with a fantasy she had. I didn't know what to expect as just the week before she had shared with me her idea of getting tied down and tickled as something fun to try. Well, she told me that she really wanted to be roped. I just looked at her, and she went on to repeat herself. She described in detail how she wanted it to happen. She wanted me to approach her in public, kidnap her, bring her back to our house, where I would immobilize her and rope her over and over. She told me that this was something she had always wanted to try but never got the courage to ask for this. Now, I am many things. I'm a proud Cleveland Browns fan, a Detroit Pistons fan, but one thing I am not, is RPE. And so I told her no. There was no way I was going to do that. Well, she tried her best to convince me, telling me at one point that if I really loved her I would rope her. My final answer was no however and we went on with our lives. Well, about a week ago she started acting very strange. Very cold and distant, and totally somber. I asked her over and over what was wrong and she ended up breaking down. She told me that since I wasn't going to rope her, she would find someone who would. She told me she had made a Tinder account and found an attractive guy she liked willing to approach her in a secluded area in public, kidnap and rope her. I was already shocked to hear this, but then she kept speaking. She said that the guy turned out to be nothing like his pictures in real life, and instead of a handsome male in his 20s she was greeted with a fat slob who looked to be in his 50s. She said she changed her mind when she saw him, but by that point she was too late. He was already holding her down and kidnapping her. He took her to his house where he kept her hostage and did whatever he wanted for 8 or so hours. She said that she felt violated, she was roped over and over in every way imaginable, and it was by far the worst experience of her entire life. She told me that what this man did was so hideous that it has left her traumatized and told me that she will be uncomfortable with having intimacy for a long time until she gets over this deeply unfortunate accident. I think she expected me to comfort her or something, as when I stood up and started to leave she tried to hold on to me and ask where I was going. I simply told her I needed time to think. Well, upon getting home I was getting spammed with messages by her friends and her. All of her friends were calling me a terrible boyfriend for leaving her in a time of need and one of them even called me as bad as the guy who roped her. I ended up blocking all her friends and texted my girlfriend saying I need at least a week to think about things and asked her to give me space if she wants any chance of staying together.